So was there anything special about Mr Ahern's appearance at the tribunal last week, or was it just a chance for an opportunistic opposition attack on a Taoiseach in the autumn of his political career? A careful examination of the Taoiseach's own words in the witness box does seem to indicate that his tell-all interview to the nation was somewhat less than comprehensive.
And that explains the 38,000, but that's the figure that we're talking about.
That's what it was. The only other thing, Brian, totally separate, nothing to do with this, but I don't want anyone saying I didn't give the full picture.
Irrespective of what one calls them, it is now clear that Mr Ahern got more money, which he felt free to use as he pleased. The Taoiseach told the tribunal that he had been checking back to try to find the sources of two unexplained £5,000 sums in his personal account, and counsel Des O'Neill asked him if in doing that he was looking back to people who had made contributions to him politically or people who had given him loans or gifts. Mr Ahern said, "I was looking back to people who I thought had given me gifts, who had given me a personal contribution." So that seemed straightforward. There had been yet another personal gift. But then the Taoiseach used the now infamous phrase that it was a political donation for his personal use. And what was momentarily clear was, once again, anything but. Mr O'Neill queried Mr Ahern as to how money given to him as a political donation went into his own account, where it would later help buy him a house. The Taoiseach replied, "I would only do that if they said that money is for you, it's for Bertie Ahern, it's for your use, and that's how you use it." The tribunal counsel then asked why he would accept such money. If it was not for political purposes, why did he simply not tell the company offering the money that he did not take gifts, but that it was welcome to make a political donation? Mr Ahern replied, "But if somebody gave you money and said it's for your use, they're giving it to you as a gift. That's the only way." It was beginning to seem as if the Taoiseach saw no difference whatsoever between a personal political donation and a gift. And Tribunal Chairman Alan Mahon intervened to point out what one might have thought was obvious, that a political donation was for the purposes of paying political expenses, whereas a gift was simply a gift which anybody might receive. Mr Ahern replied that when money was given for constituency purposes, he gave it to the constituency. However, at times, but not at many times, an individual would give you money and say it's for your personal use. Mr Ahern seemed to be suggesting that this money only compensated him for the many political calls on his personal income, such as being expected to contribute to causes, raffles and draws. But there was one straightforward question which Mr O'Neill put to Mr Ahern, which brought an absolutely clear answer. Mr O'Neill's question was, "You regularly received political donations which were understood as being capable of being used for personal purposes. Is that right?" "Yes," said the Taoiseach. This is striking. The Taoiseach regularly received money from companies or individuals which he felt free to use for any purpose he chose. Either he was in receipt of regular gifts, or he felt able to simply keep money that was in fact intended to cover political expenses. It's difficult to see how either could be seen as an acceptable practice. And gifts, or money that was treated as gifts, raises another question: tax. It's a question that Mr Ahern has in the past been particularly firm on.
I think you have to have just a merciless view on this, and I'm afraid I think people know my view for 20 years. It would actually give me the greatest of pleasure watching non-compliant taxpayers going to jail. That's the kind of person I am.
Under relentless, if not merciless, questioning last Thursday, Mr Ahern's own position in relation to tax compliance, at least in relation to one sum of money, became quite clear. Tribunal counsel Des O'Neill said to the Taoiseach, "I take it you would accept that a gift of £5,000 would carry with it implications that you'd certainly have to check up as to whether or not it carried a revenue implication for you." "Yes, yes," replied Mr Ahern. "You did not make a return in relation to that?" Mr O'Neill asked. "No, no," Mr Ahern conceded. And, of course, Mr Ahern became leader of Fianna Fáil only a couple of short years after this period of strange financial dealings, and he did so as the new ethical broom.
Fianna Fáil will enforce a new set of standards for all its members. We will not tolerate any deviation from the benchmarks of honour at local level or in Leinster House, be it in the past, the present or the future. No one is welcome in this party if they betray the public trust. I say this, and I mean this, with every fibre of my being.
So So what would this new ethical leader have made of a minister whose life partner was given £30,000 to buy a house from a mysterious account into which a political donation had been lodged and which was controlled by some of that minister's closest friends? At one point, Mr. Ahern did make a very clear statement in relation to this strange BT account in the Irish Permanent Building Society in Drumcondra. I don't control the BT account. I am not the BT account. I didn't put any money in the BT account. I didn't take out any money. I didn't put Ona Callahan's money into it or anybody else's money into it, he said. The problem is that there isn't the slightest documentary evidence that this was ever a Fianna Fáil account or ever had anything to do with building anything. Its name never contained the words Fianna Fáil or building until it was changed this year, after the tribunal began making its inquiries. It was not formally established as being a trust for anyone or anything, and the account address was the Building Society branch itself. But we know that at least one £5,000 sum clearly intended as an election donation ended up in it. Quite what will become of this strangest of accounts is hard to imagine, but that its operation could possibly represent the highest ethical standards is much harder to believe.